and over to you, Chair Harrington.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the roundtable of Thursday, January 8th, 2026. This is Chair Catherine Harrington. I'm joined by Vice Chair Jerry Willey, Commissioner Pam Trees, Commissioner Nafisa Bai, and Commissioner Jason Snyder. We have a pretty full agenda today. So without further ado, we're going to go to our first topic, Clean Water Services Report Out with our interim CEO General Manager, Rick Shanley. Rick.
Well, thank you. Good morning, Chair and Board of Directors. I appreciate the opportunity to chat.
Why don't we have you move over here as a presenter?
Okay.
So
turn right on.
thank you. Makes it easier for us.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, so I'll dive right into the agenda. It looks lengthy, but I think we can cover it in an hour. Basically, I'd like to spend some time. We're just going to talk about a look back and kind of from when I took over as interim in June through the end of the year. I think we've made a lot of major strides. And before I dive into that, I want to first acknowledge all the staff at Clean Water Services and the great help and support that I've been getting from folks. So this was a big, large, and great team effort that I'm proud to be a part of and appreciate everything that was done by the folks at Clean Water to keep us moving. And it was fun putting this together. Elizabeth and I said it was nice to sit down and actually put into paper all the things that we got through for last year, as well as talking about what we're hoping to work for, and we'll do our very best to accomplish for next year.
So, Rick, I just want to comment. Last night was our first Clean Water Services audit meeting, and the
brand new audit committee.
Yep, brand new audit committee. June 30, 25 audit was presented in a timely fashion, even though you had two significant turnovers in the finance department and Kathy Leader, and then we had, as we found out, we had two new pronouncements. I wrote them down from the accounting profession that we had to deal with.
Oh, new GASB rules or something?
Two, I'll look it up here and I wrote it down, but yeah, two new of those that Kathy had to take on one of them and do herself because we didn't have staff to do. Yeah. So congratulations to Kathy and the finance team for getting that audit done. And of course it was clean, well presented audit. If you want to read it, it's 156 pages of information. There you go. Riveting. That's good. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Kathy had planned to come this morning and had a late night and has a lot to do. So we said, you're free to focus on work today, but would have loved to have been here. But yeah, she's very, very busy. And one of the great things taking this position over was we're in good financial shape. So yes, there were some things to do, but it sure was nice to be in good shape from that perspective. So I'll talk a little bit about the rebuilding trust effort of last year, back to basics and some of the achievements, and then for next year, talking again about how we're going to continue and strengthening that effort, both within the organization as well as with their partners, some of the key changes, the permit renewal, and some of the strategic issues that we'll do.
And if I may, when we first put together the rough draft of this, I sat down with Rick and I said, now I know why I'm tired. And also that I'm just incredibly proud, right? It was one of those things about how much we've accomplished and also have committed to over the horizon to keep us being Clean Water Services, doing what we do best.
Yeah. All right. So I will, we'll get into the look back. The rebuild. The board is intimately familiar with this piece, but of course we need to mention the completion of R&O 25-5. We're not quite there yet, but did get through 14 separate actions. We'll be meeting next week to present the forensic investigation and those findings, as well as all of our responses. I think that will again encapsulate a lot of things that happened last year that make me feel a lot more confident that we're in good shape. We've got policies, procedures in place, safeguards, doing everything I think we can do to prevent some of the situations that have happened in the past, and been very transparent about that progression. So we're really happy with that.
One thing
That
I
effort.
think about is after we have closure on the forensic report, we may think about having an RNO 26 something that recognizes closure of 25-5 and continued ongoing work into the future. So essentially recognizing the milestone achievement, calling that chapter of it done, and assimilating all the improved policies and operations into the time ahead.
I think that's a great idea. The last two bullets here mentioning continue to evaluate and update, but having that formally put into place would be a very appropriate and appreciated measure.
Good job, team.
So some of the things with the community, kind of broke this down into the community and the co-implementers, and then talk a little bit about some of the internal things that we tried to do as well. So additional CWS essentials. I think we heard again last night with Hillsborough, someone on the council that had been to essentials, and they really compliment that. So it was a good move, I think, to provide some additional opportunities to get folks in front of clean water services and see the things that we do and give them a better understanding of what some of the boots on the ground things are that are happening. I think it helps them to understand the investments that we make and how complicated it is in backing the rates and the things that we need to do.
Meeting with the cities, Rick, has been a real asset because as we heard Monday night at Hillsborough, Tuesday night at Hillsborough, whenever night it was,
Monday night.
they had lots of questions, and we're going to have some follow up on that. I think that's the third presentation I've heard with different ones, but yeah, this is eye opening. Yeah, to our cities.
It's building more. I think it's building more trust and relationship than you all even realize.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and I would like to comment on that as well, because for the ones that I was able to attend through the questions, it's pretty clear to me that there's a journey of knowledge, and CWS Essentials helps a lot, and the ongoing partnership, state of our partnership meetings helps and provides a forum. But I've seen now in multiple, at least 3 city councils in the state of our partner presentations that I've attended, that various city councilors do, because of their volunteer nature of their positions and the scope of their work, and so only the occasional touch point on CWS, they're not really aware of how much eyes on we have. So there's one. So I'm still pondering how we might address that. But secondly, the impression I get from all 3 city councils through different individual questions on the city councils is that when we talk about rates and finances and the regional, local, they seem to think that our part is kind of optional. That The local
Not
part
the
is
backbone of the whole
mandatory,
system.
but you know, your part is optional. And it's like, okay, when you flush your toilets at home in your city and it goes down the pipe, it has to go somewhere. And we're the somewhere. And that somewhere has far more requirements than you're used to. So it really struck me how it's almost like there's this little card of messages that we're in the Tualatin River watershed, and uh, it's it's quite small and it's sensitive, and we have to manage 3 factors: temperature, volume, and chemical. And on the quite small nature, with the city of Portland, their recycled water goes into a really big river, the Columbia River. And then some of our cities think about the Willamette River because they use that for transporting their drinking water. That's a medium-sized river. And then we have the Tualatin River that is really quite small. In other parts of the country, it's size-wise, it's more like a creek. So this is where, using an analogy, we're really hitting above our weight class in utilizing the Tualatin River. But we have to keep hammering the point, because when they're hearing sensitive, they're not really getting it. And our urban areas, very few of our urban areas have the presence of the river within the city versus on the edge of the city. So we have to keep reminding them at every single forum. So those were just my learnings, so to speak, from the really great presentations. And I really want to compliment not only that they're being done, but we're being included as part of that because we are their elected peers.
Oh, it's so meaningful to have that support in the room from the board. I think sends a really strong message, and they have been very engaged, and it felt the rooms have felt welcoming. I will say that. I think they do appreciate us being there. Joe Gall has done a good job with our public relations team creating specific materials for each individual group, and they all do have different perspectives and slightly different concerns. Rates, of course, I think is a common denominator of all, but making that education piece of how great our rates are factoring in the receiving stream that we have versus others, that we almost have a drinking water plant and a wastewater plant all put together. I think we can never overemphasize that message. And as we're going around and talking about rates, I think that it's an important factor that we keep reminding everybody of.
And the local regional, it struck me how the newer city councilors of larger cities don't have much appreciation for the fact that we have smaller cities that aren't full service cities to the extent that they are.
Yeah.
And that struck me because it's lack of familiarity for their peer cities and their peer city councils.
Yeah.
So just an amazing set of learnings, as I just thought, oh, I'm going to go into this with fresh eyes. So thank you.
Elizabeth, did you want to share anything on the website improvements before I jump ahead?
You know, I will just share, we really had to up our game in how we used our website, work to make it more navigable, clearer for users. We set up new pages related to transparency, our commitment to FAQs related to media attention. And that's going to be a continued theme going forward. Lots of blog posts sort of explaining how we operate, why we do what we do. So that will be something that you will see carry through into the future.
Yeah.
I have a quick feedback on that front around the website. Sorry. I have a quick feedback on the website front, and I really can't take credit on this. Some constituents brought forward. You know, a lot of the community know the Board of Commissioners, for the county. There are also certain segments that also know that we are the Board of Directors for Clean Water Services. But many times people get involved and say, I want to go talk to the commissioners and go directly to the county's website.
Mhm.
Is there a way? I'm not a tech savvy or anything, but I said I'll take it back and bring it to the board and to the staff. Is there a way when people go to testify for Washington County or want to comment to Washington County, they go directly to the Washington County? Is there a way to link where the agenda or where the boards of commissioners for the county's website to link to Clean Water Services so that we click there and it goes there, right? Like, so we're,
So, sorry,
yeah,
finish
go
your
ahead.
question, but I really think I'd like Kevin to answer this
Okay.
because it's already there.
Yes, thank you, Director Hearn. Yes, we are integrating it on there. So going forward with the standalone CWS meetings, they will have a box in the iAgenda that is CWS related. So the standalone all-day work sessions will live on CWS, but the combined ones, board meetings, will live with the board meetings. So they'll be integrated together.
Yeah, but is that, so it will be clear? Will be,
Yes, it
Well,
will.
it's
that
not
not-
clear to us. We can't take responsibility for it being clear to 100% of the constituents. But the structure has been improved. The calendar helps people see that. And also, if it's already been happening for many months, that if someone emails either place for the other, our teams automatically transfer it over.
yeah, I think, let me just maybe just articulate the issue that I probably didn't do it justice here. What I've heard, and I think we can have a bit of more discussion and you guys can take this idea is when we go to the website and click the date and it lists today's meeting, BCC roundtable, that is sometimes combined clean water services. But I think people are looking for Clean Water Services Board of Directors meeting there, like to be listed so that it's specific. And even if there is no meeting, people are looking that hyperlink to go back to Clean Water Services. So something that isn't, yes, the combined and all that is where I direct people to, but it's not really clear direct link to the,
It will be clear by February 1st
okay.
because that is the date by which once we finish day's training and once we finish adopting the rules of procedure according to the plan that we've all had the opportunity to be aware of, the date that fully activates that separation and that full clarity is February 1st.
Okay, February, I'll come back and see the improvements in place.
Yes. Okay, so I'll move to the next slide, chatting a little bit about the other key component of the rebuilding trust effort was internal. And that's with our employees. So one of the key opportunities we had was really clarifying the leadership structure and working to improve communication and engagement. So the first step was kind of simple. We went from SAGE, which was a bit of a confusing terminology, to having an executive leadership team. It was a small group of just the chiefs. So I also invited others, including the directors at the district, to participate. So we have certain core meetings of just the executive team that currently not the chiefs, but bringing other folks into the room to have an expanded leadership structure, I think has had a lot of value. So we get to hear firsthand what's going on within the organization through those directors, and also giving them an opportunity to input on some of the strategic direction we're taking with respect to back to basics and other initiatives. We also created and chartered a senior leadership team. So we've got ELT, we've got an expanded ELT, now we have a senior leadership team. that again is looking at more boots on the ground issues that they're hearing from their staff, and they elevate those up to us as well. And Elizabeth has taken the role of working to get that group chartered, organized, creates the agendas with her team, and so that communication flow from bottom to top was an opportunity to get improvement. In order to really move forward with trust, we have to have this solid line of communication. Those are some of the main pieces that happened kind of structurally within the organization.
I'll just comment as one of five that you've all weathered a storm, the storm of 2025 first half very well. So, thank you.
If I could channel Tanya Angie in this moment, clarity is kindness. So a lot of the rebranding here is showing people who is involved at the table and whom and how we are communicating. So just taking some of the mystery away when it comes to Sage or business partners or all leaders, right? We just became crystal clear on this is the group that is convening and for what purpose.
I know you know this, but for the sake of the public, I'll make sure it's clear. The Washington County nomenclature is there's the executive leadership team and then the senior leadership team.
Okay.
So, and then you've helped us make the transition to the quarterly all supervisor meetings as well.
Yeah. And thank you for coming to one of our all supervisor meetings. Director Treese was there as well. That was my first one. We did it a little different. Those meetings in the past were a lot of pass down, information sharing, which we still do. That part's important. But I think what we learned resoundingly was they really like a town hall event at the end. So we've made space where myself and the ELT sit in front of everybody and answer questions. And I'm really happy with how direct some of those questions can be. That tells me they trust they're in a safe space, and I think that's important. So we'll continue to do that. I would strongly recommend that is a practice that goes on. I think staff really appreciate the opportunity to hear from all of us directly.
I will point out that the meeting that the chair and I attended was right after some of our reorganization changes, and there was a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
That way, and I think that's to be expected.
Yep.
But as we move forward, that is obviously time to show.
And I had attended a prior year one as well. And though for the 2025 one, Commissioner Treese and I were only there for a portion of it, I definitely, through having the multiple experiences, was in the flow of just bringing all of the supervisor managers together and making sure everyone understood policy improvements, operational improvements. So with an organization of these sizes, Clean Water Services is a medium-sized organization. It's important to do these things. That's part of the organizational management responsibility. And you're doing it as a leader, Rick, in the interim capacity, and your full management team is on board to do it as well. It's not a delegated kind of thing. So for Washington County, it's the one Washington County approach, that collaboration.
The last piece is really the Employee Advisory Council, which has staff from all across the district represented. I'll point out, thank you for allowing them to have a voice in the general manager leadership characteristics process. I think that was really significant for them to be able to have that forum. Everybody's, that's on their minds, obviously, how that's going to go, and for them to get a opportunity to share what they think is important, and knowing that y'all listen to those things is also equally, if not just as important. So that's very appreciated.
Well, it was the background or the base for the GM application.
Yeah.
point out, and it was, to me, it was very revealing information. I had to think about that as to where I identified, I guess, a little bit more as to where they were.
Yep.
In their mindset at that time. So,
The only thing that I've heard from directors that we would have appreciated done differently is getting us the information in advance to read versus having a summary presented in the room and then the homework assignment and getting versions of it after the fact. So that's all. But as a general rule for our work session days and meetings and our business meetings, you usually do have the information in advance. So it's the exception, not the rule. We caught up with it.
Yeah.
As we could see by virtue of the fact that we adopted the job brochure and the whole process set on Tuesday. Another major milestone reached.
Yeah. I did want to touch on the back to basics. We use that term a lot. People have taken that term to heart, and pointing out a few of the things that happened last year. Closing the Clean Water Institute and Ripple, I think, is on a high level a move in the right direction, and I think staff also embraced that. I caveated it down below. That is not going to impede us from industry-leading innovation, and we'll give examples of last year and things we're going to do next year. But really focusing staff time on what they need to do to get their core job duties done. So one of the things that I have heard is the performance excellence and going after the Baldrige Award and participation in that competition it's distracting. There's a lot of value in performance excellence. There's a lot of value in the roadmaps that we've created as part of that. But at this point, kind of put that on a pause.
I think this is a topic that with the board, we should talk about at one of our work sessions, because one of the primary drivers for that being initiated was that it was very clear through the retirement process that CWS was going through, because 2019 was really the start of the inflection of consistent retirements. There had been a loss of process and procedures. They weren't written down. And going after this award or this performance excellence process was a way for everyone to put in the work to write those policies and procedures down and to make sure that they were being followed towards that continuous improvement and excellence. So we need to talk about and how that comes in, because that's now also missing with regard to the award point and the compensation. So we're going to have to figure that out.
Fair enough. Yeah.
It's all just, we got to come back to it at our level.
The last part on prioritize FTE and staff duties. So there are some positions that were vacated. We have looked at positions as a team with the ELT and the expanded ELT. I created a matrix of how it's been not clear to folks. How are we making decisions? How are we deciding which positions, to prioritize and move forward with? So we do have a system in place now. I'm sure it will need to be changed and adapted, but we score for different categories with things like how important, obviously regulatory compliance is the #1 factor, and there are other factors there as well. It could relate to succession planning. So using that type of a system really gave us a chance to, everybody could put their cards on the table. We can talk about what the positions are, talk about the budget constraints that we're working within, and not everybody walked away happy, but at least they all understood why the decisions were made. And so that's what this bullet is referring to, really focusing on getting the right folks in. They're all good positions, but it's a matter of timing and prioritization, I think, was something that we focused a lot on the latter half of the year, continue to focus on as we enter a budget session for next year.
That sounds really excellent. I'm glad to hear it. But given that the you'll be bringing the proposed budget forward to us, and that is where we see requests for FTE. I would suggest that you go over that matrix with each one of us in one of your usual briefings, or for those directors who don't have regular one-on-ones with you, an ad hoc one, prior to the proposed budget, the end of it.
Okay.
So
Do that.
it doesn't have to be done immediately.
Yeah. Great idea. Not to harp on budget too much, but I do
But
think
it's how we implement policies and procedures.
um,
It's okay.
I do want to, I mentioned collective effort to tighten the budget. We're all aware of, what's going on. Staff are very aware. Again, I inherited a very fiscally sound organization with, with very good rates, compared to our peers, and we have good benchmark data to feel. We just need to continue to do what we've always done. But I do appreciate the fact that I can talk to staff and they are always open and are up for the challenge of finding ways to be more efficient, whether it's big capital projects, internal pieces, asking good questions about the level of service. I can do this. It's this expensive. I can do this. When is it good enough to do this level of service? When do we need to go to the A+ level of service? So there is an inherent part of the culture, I feel, at Clean Water Services that looks to make good choices financially. So this is in part a real call out to the folks that I work with, and it's not, people that are inputting the data into the financial model and developing rates want to make good use of dollars. And I really think that's important, and the innovation is really part of that. All the innovation is focused on payback, compliance, and those types of things. All right, so key accomplishments, kind of getting a little bit more into the details. The West Basin Master Plan was a big one. That's the picture on the bottom right. So we felt so proud to move that forward. It really creates the roadmap that we need to know the projects that have to happen, where the smart investments are going to take place, and build our financial model for that piece. The Data Management Master Plan is phase 1 of what will likely be many phases. So we love the AI piece. I've got it mentioned below, but we, like many, are in a position. Now is a critical time to understand how to warehouse that data, how to put that data together. There's a million technical solutions for a lot of problems, and it's easy to want to buy these off-the-shelf solutions, and that's kind of been the history. But these things are not linking up. They're not syncing correctly together. So phase 1 was really looking at, what do we need? What are the problems we're solving instead of buying solutions for problems? And then how do we build a data structure that works well together, so not everybody's doing their own little thing in their own little worlds? That was phase 1. We're into phase 2 at this point in time, where we're starting to build the warehouse infrastructure and really focusing on the QC of the data. Because I heard someone say yesterday, the fastest way to a bad answer is to use AI if you don't have good data. And so that's a reality, is all of our data is not as good as it should be. So we're focusing on the treatment plant data aspect part of it and all of that data, because it applies to compliance, and then we'll be expanding organizationally with those same concepts.
When you're using the word warehouse, you're meaning data warehouse.
Data warehouse,
I
yes.
was just going to point out that
Yeah.
it's important to keep this context about the technical aspects of the business.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to hear you talk about the fact that in any environment, especially in an engineering environment, you have different what appear to be compartmentalized problems. But if you solve those problems in a compartmentalized way, you don't know what the side relationships are to the next problem that you solve. I think that's what.
Yeah. It's a big deal. There's a change management aspect with staff too. Some people are pretty proud of and happy with their systems and trying to pull all that
What the other
together.
problems
Yeah,
are. I mean,
I got my problems. I don't want to know. We talked about long-term regulatory compliance roadmap previously, so you're familiar with that one. And again, that's a big milestone. That's driving everything we do. So having that roadmap in place is critical for us. Capital projects, the Brookman trunk in Sherwood, getting that moving, getting that in construction was key for us. The Rock Creek primary clarifiers was about a $50 million project for our preliminary primary treatment system. Huge thing that needed to happen, and we've got that in place. It's helped us get through some of the big storms that we're already seeing this last winter. Durham, this is a mouthful, unified fermentation and thickening. This is part of our solids treatment process. The UFAT process is one that we patented years and years ago. It still remains an industry standard. So that needed to be expanded. That project is up and completed. It's really important for compliance and just a lot of pump stations. Last year. And the innovation front, I mentioned analytical methods. We're investing in a lab. As you're all very aware, we are leading a lot of things in analytical pieces. So eDNA, we're looking at for tracking salmon and how they move through the river and what that means to our permit with respect to thermal. Emerald ash borer, we're using eDNA to get a better handle on that. Microplastics. Have you heard of the microplastics issue that's out there and kind of one of the next major worries that people are having are all these microplastics we're finding in our bodies?
Experimentation happening in our lab, in the Clean Water Services lab on this.
Yeah. So we've developed methods to better understand where they are, the types of plastics that exist. Quantification is proven difficult. And then the 6-PPD quinone is a major issue. Major sources, tires, causes issues for salmon, so stormwater. We have developed the methodology to quantify that did not exist, so we can understand, is this an issue for us? Similar to what we've done with PFAS, getting ahead of it and developing quantification. Having that data is the first key to solving any of these problems.
Keep going. Thank you.
Okay. AI collaboration. We met at WEFTEC. There was a booth down there. We're collaborating with Hampton Roads, DC Water, Denver Metro, heavy hitters in the industry. We've been in the AI business through some WRF studies. We are part of this collaboration is funded through an NSF grant. We're not too worried about it going away. We feel the risk is very, very low, but for minimal dollars that we're putting in, we're getting a lot of benefit of how to effectively use AI with good data. We're focused on chemical treatment. Other partners are focused on different operational issues. We're all sharing this information and working. There's a very small local team called Maya that's spearheaded this effort. And so it's also great that our partner is a local person. So we're really excited to be part of that effort. It's going to continue to grow and evolve and give us great benefits. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Could we go back to
Sure.
capital? Just
Yes, of
moment?
course.
You said something that piqued my interest about the investments that we've made. And I think you were talking primarily about the Rock Creek primary clarifiers and what avoided costs that investment has allowed us. And
Growth.
right, but I'm just wondering if how we communicate that. So we have a natural situation that if we hadn't made this investment, this might have been the result. Because we made the investment, we controlled our environment to the standpoint that we didn't have that impact.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how we talk about that in the public sphere. And my first place to think about is how we talk about it with our partners.
Yeah.
Really with our cities and those type. I think we talk about this all the time. I think we miss the opportunity to pat ourselves on the back and say, this was an avoided cost because we did this, or an avoided situation, avoided impact. Because
It's really about demonstrating the value of
yes, exactly.
things,
Yeah.
What they and we
telling
talk,
the story around it.
yeah, and the ROI is not simply about cost, but it's also about community impact.
I think we'll take that as a bit of a homework assignment.
Just
I can think
An
of ways,
ongoing journey.
but
Yeah.
but you know, Joe puts out his monthly letter. We should talk about some of those things. We could talk about this UFAT system. We got enough. Now I'll go a little off track, but we found a way by heating the sludge going in that reduced the cost of that project by 2/3, I believe.
Wow.
And so to say that this was the way, this was the consultant recommendation. We thought about this. If you heat this up, I mean, if you heat it up, the reaction happens quicker. The problem is when in the very early months. So those would be great stories to tell. Tens of millions of dollars that
Efficiency
were
for
saved
ratepayers
by,
in a big way.
yeah, and that's why our rates are good, despite the fact that we've got major, you know, challenges of meeting our permit.
So it's almost like integrating what innovation really is.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not just in the lab.
Yeah, it's not just science.
It's in the practical.
What does it look like at scale, and why does the average
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
good point.
no one
The
care?
word scale, right? People think about it from cost of their business or cost of their household as opposed to we get it community wide.
Yeah.
Good point.
No, we'd love to. That's a great opportunity to share more of what's happening behind the scenes. You know, the website would be another option, but it's people don't just automatically go to look at a website.
No,
So it's got to be a little more, proactive.
So we're about halfway
Okay.
through and it's
That's good.
45 minutes.
I'm sorry.
Colleagues, do you have any more questions or comments on this? Where we're at? I just have one. I want to really compliment you, Rick, and your management team. I had a level of engagement with the prior COO that my colleagues did not have. It's refreshing to have a CEO who can directly present these strategies, these projects, and the innovation directly. I had no part in their putting together this presentation. And you're continuing to be clear about the strategy and how you have the level of awareness of the partners and the ecosystem. So we're not numb at all to the environment, and how each of the tactics is a smart tactic. So very well done. I haven't had to make sure that's done or is clear or is brought to the board.
It also allows us to be better ambassadors as well.
Well, we'll wrap up last year with kind of the recognition and awards. So these are also nice. We're very proud of these things. The NACWA awards, the Peak Performance Awards, really showcase our ability to do exceptional work with compliance. You know, that is the boots on the ground folks. But what I love about them is they're the first to point out this was a team effort. We got help from they do. They really are. They share that recognition, and it's pretty awesome. And we also got an award for workforce development, our apprenticeship program. So we continue, I think, to do a really good job of building new leaders within clean water services. And then the operations challenge. It was great. Thank you for allowing the ops challenge team to come. You could see and even saw a little bit of teary-eyed just how much this means to them, how much they care about the work they do, and how these types of things bring people together and really create such a great place to work for them. It's really awesome. And then we did have an Operator of the Year award, Matt Christians.
Can I want to quickly jump in here. We went to a picnic this last summer for LUT, LUT had a challenge that they were working on and they were practicing out in the yard. And we got a chance to see them practicing. And I'm wondering, not all of us go to WFTAC, but if there are practice sessions where the teams are working, it might be interesting to invite us to see those because all of us haven't seen that interaction. But it would also,
Absolutely practice.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I know they do, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the
Yeah.
practice, but I did see the LUT practice and I'm like, wow, it was putting chains on tires.
Oh, yeah.
for Snow removal situation.
Yeah.
That type of
They would love that.
Yeah. Just think
Great
about
idea. Okay, so we're moving into what are some of the big things we're thinking about for next year, and then of course we're anxious to make sure we hear what the board also wants us to focus on. So continuing to build trust is paramount. I think we're on a very good path, but the chair mentioned, the follow through and with what we've done with the RNO. We're obviously, we've got some really good systems and policies in place. We're going to ensure that they're followed, and they're probably going to need some tweaks, and they won't be perfect. So that's, again, we're going to make sure they're really comprehensive and robust, and where we need to make changes, we'll make changes, and we'll make you aware of those before we do.
I wish we'd thought of those two words follow through in our conversation on Tuesday morning on those priorities.
Yeah.
I love the spirit of that.
The rate study, which we've talked about, we're off and running on that.
I think you guys are doing a slight diminishment of what this project is all about, because when we started on the board, we heard a lot about the progression to new software. So it's being done not only as a rate study, but also for the short term, medium term, and long term of the implementation. So because I've heard this presented 3 times now to 3 city councils, and it's been all about, well, it's been a long time since 2008 that we've looked at rates, and we know we've looked at rates, but also the implementation of those rates, and through the improved IGAs on responsibility. So we haven't just been sitting on our hands with regard to rates. So I just wanted to contribute that today. But yep, it's important.
And we'll be talking more about that in February, which is just around the corner. The billing study, we have our consultant help on board. That's another key thing. We're going to be working our way through next year. All of the cities are very interested in this study and having an engagement plan with them. We've got a lot of touch points that will happen there.
I heard they'll have reports in 2027, but you folks will have to work to do in 27 and beyond. That'll be a big load on your new board.
What a welcome.
Oh, very important.
And of course, we're looking at customer assistance and emergency assistance as well as part of that study, which we've heard, folks are very interested in from the community aspect as well. And then continuing to leverage, the website, and I would say other social media tools as well.
Yeah.
Just, we know better than to think it's all just the website at this point in time.
Your comms channel.
On kind of the internal side, increased engagement and integration with the Employee Advisory Council. We met with them at the end of the year. We think there are more opportunities for them to have some specific guidance on projects. They're going to come to us also with lists of things that they care about. So we're not just going to dictate these are the things to do, but we've had dialogue about how to make sure they're feeling they're contributing at the maximum value on the things that make the biggest difference to them. We're going to increase the frequency of the times that they come meet with the ELT.
Right now it's once a year.
It's once a year, which is not enough. So we're going to have them come to see us more often. And we're going to make sure there's ELT members at their various meetings as well. And those are going to be in-person meetings. So we get that chance to see how everybody's doing face-to-face. Our employee recognition program, there is a goal share that is currently active with our HR team. They've solicited input from folks about what they would like to see for recognition. So just a good time, especially given all things considered, to make sure they're feeling very recognized in meaningful ways for them. The class and comp study you've heard about for a while. We have a schedule. We are moving forward on that schedule. And by middle of the year, we'll hopefully be in a pretty good position with moving that through and getting it executed. Long overdue, and we need to get it done. And then always continuing to look at employee training, onboarding. It was actually Brad Anderson said we have the best onboarding program. So I do think we have some really good things here. So I want to point out. And likewise with the CWS leaders, we've had some board members come to the graduation. Those are awesome. That's a really amazing program that we have in place. The thing that we're excited about, the one that we're going to grow and strengthen, is sort of project management, and really focusing on usable tools for project managers to make their job easier. Some of that relates to policies. If you have a new project manager, where do they go and how do they get started? So putting that documentation in place and having a playbook for them is what that's all about.
We have policies around consistency of use of tools. In other words, so project management tools talk to one another. And I was thinking about your earlier statement about I'm solving my problem regardless of what it might cause sideways. I'm just asking.
An area of opportunity. Some of the changes, which moving CWS to standalone board meetings, we'll be talking about that more in January. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at my screen. Thank you. Standalone board meetings, general manager recruitment. Spent a lot of time on that yesterday. The onboarding of the new board members, we've heard preparing for onboarding, yes, and the recognition that that's coming. And I know that this board very much cares about having a good transition and certain things done and in place. So focusing on that, and then the redomestication of the clean water insurance company.
Which actually, based on the conversations we had last night in the audit committee, there is, I think, more attention being paid to this, maybe than we recognize. Several of the audit members were asking, so
okay,
what is this? Especially in regards to the report.
Forensic.
Forensic, that word is forensic reporting. They were asking some questions about that and how that tied into the audit. And so, yeah, I think we need to make sure that this redomiciling pretty clear in public.
Can we touch bases on that again at the February 6th work session day? You're going to miss that. Maybe, yeah.
I'm sure after my surgery.
No, you're.
To Jerry's point, though, I think your team should be prepared for a lot of public interest in both of those.
Okay.
I think the forensic investigation results and the redomiciling you can expect.
So if I could finish first, what I want to make sure is that we're harvesting the feedback not just from our meetings on Tuesday, but this audit committee experience and questions, and that we're on the same page as you in terms of how can we do a better job of ensuring that there is accessibility and knowledge of what we've learned and accomplished. I mean, we've already put in a lot of new policies and procedures that we should make sure get touched on next Tuesday with the forensic investigation report. but also clarity on what redomiciling is all about.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I think Jason, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there, but the conversation last night was who did what. So we're re-domiciling, but did Quick pay for this? And so this forensic report we've got, is that about clean water services, or is that about Quick, or is that about both of them? So where's the bright line as to Quick and their responsibilities, and how much, because the media and everyone has kind of thrown all of that together,
Yeah.
because it was Quick trips
Uh-huh.
that generated this interest, but it was also clean water services where the forensic report is focused. So yeah, it's a messy thing, and we're not doing a very good job, I think, right now, differentiating between the two.
I also think we need a public cheat sheet of terminologies as we go through this.
Yeah.
Things, that are pretty clear to us because we've been in this.
so we'll figure out a next step in terms of how to get some work session time so that all 5 of us can do this in a timely manner. It may be accomplished through our some of it in our work session next Tuesday, but I want to make sure that before Commissioner really is out for his medical stuff, that we've had a chance to pull those two together.
Yeah. Very good. Maybe an FAQ along those would be helpful.
Yeah.
Preparation for the permit.
Oh, and to make you comfortable, even though we're at the 60-minute mark for item 2, I don't think we're going to need the full hour. So just keep going.
Thank you. Okay. Ongoing collaboration with DEQ. The long-term strategy includes a lot of a big part of that is understanding what are the regulatory changes that we think make sense to protect the watershed. And these are some things that we've been working with DEQ on, that we've been prepping for quite some time, that are going to come up in the next permit renewal. So Fern Hill Natural Treatment System, DEQ loves the NTS. I think they want to promote that type of technology, but it's a little different. And we're continuing to work with them to better define where to do some of the sampling and how to do that sampling. It's not as simple as when you've got a concrete structure in a weir that the water, this is a natural system. You get disturbances that impact things. So we're spending a lot of time with DEQ to address some challenging ways that it's set up for monitoring right now. Recycled water is another one. I'll talk a little bit about the Thomas Dairy project, but we want to look at applying more water than the agronomic rates might allow, and showing that's okay. And
I'm going to laugh again
different ways.
and point out we need a different name. Hasn't been the Thomas Dairy for decades.
Oh, okay.
And it needs to be more site-specific name.
Okay.
Because we're going to have to
Put that one in.
refer to that site for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's not about the past use, it's about the current site and into the future. Sorry, segue there.
Phosphorus we talked about, but potentially changing the limit. I mean, that's our ultimate goal. We had a limit established a long time ago. A lot of things have changed. We've done modeling. We've shown that we can have a higher limit on phosphorus and be very protective of, just as protective of water quality. Update to design and construction standards we mentioned previously. That work is moving full speed ahead. And IGAs. We've got a lot to get done on IGAs, and that is a compliance-driven task. So that's really a high priority and a high focus.
Is it reasonable to expect that all of these will be done between now and the end of this year?
The goal is November of this year.
Okay,
For all.
Yes. Yeah.
thank you.
I get some. Oh, go ahead.
No good. Finish.
Well, it's we've got hills. We have a good template now that we're using. So I think once you get the first, I'm being an optimist a little bit here because every city's different, but having those done, I think is going to make the others. Joe tells me It will help the others to go a little more quickly.
And I want to make sure it's clear because this relates to the board. We've had a strategy of treating our partners like partners. These IGAs are about our partnership in regional and local, and they all come as action items in our business.
Absolutely.
I am done after 3 times, well, 2 times, the 2 biggest ones, making sure that it's on the action and not varied like the 1,001 contracts we have.
Right.
Appropriate contracts for chemicals and pipes and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, agreed. It's an opportunity to highlight those partnerships.
Yep.
The success of those collaborative efforts.
So going back to Fernhill and our recent flooding, I guess how does that impact? We have to shut down or something. That's the right one.
The flooding can inundate, but we're okay. I mean, it doesn't impact our ability to comply or meet our limits in any fashion. But certainly,
But then you have all that road stormwater gook that then flows into
yeah,
that flows into the channel sets, and you end up sampling that.
yeah. After the fact, after
Yeah. Anyway, just something I never thought about before.
Yeah, and I was just when we talked about that,
the question, yeah,
how that impacts basically our operational side of things.
we're okay on that. We're using that wetland in the winter for copper removal. So it is not something that was originally, it's doing it, but it's not just a summertime thing for thermal. It is an important aspect year round for us.
Yeah, well, it's a very cool facility and location.
Yeah.
So, yeah, happy about that.
We're good? Okay. Strategic planning initiatives. I've mentioned there are certain vacant positions related to strategy that we're not doing. So I felt it was really important to say that doesn't mean we're not doing a lot of things with respect to strategic initiatives. I'm pointing out that these are very compliance focused, tangible things that we have to do to be prepared to be in compliance, and that's that long-term vision and thinking that really is the benefit. So the thermal compliance roadmap started late last year. We did a thermal compliance roadmap a while ago. We included the dam as a strategy, which we know doesn't exist anymore. The other part, honestly, though, that's the bigger impact. We've always thought of thermal compliance is how much heat can you put in the river? The new thing that's come up is our thermal plume. So there's an area where the pipe is that there's a rise in temperature. Is that impeding salmon passage? So that's really a big part of what this new roadmap is addressing, and that's part of when I mentioned the eDNA. It's showing that our thermal plume is not impeding, and so there's a lot of mixing zone studies, a lot of modeling work that's being done, as well as looking at really defining how much recycled water we need based upon all of the new models and the new impacts, looking at some different alternatives to meet thermal. One of them is aquifer storage and recovery. Have we talked?
Oh yeah, multiple cities use it.
Yeah, yeah.
Drinking water.
So that could help us, but using that water, taking it out in the summer for cooling, putting it back in, putting costs to these different options, and then being able to tweak the knobs and say, okay, this is the most economical, durable approach that we have based upon current information. Climate action roadmap, we'll be talking about in the upcoming meeting in February, but really looking at adaptation and mitigation and developing implementation pieces from that roadmap that we're all bought into.
I just want to point out that one of the thoughts I had when I talked earlier about as we make investments and what we avoid, I think that's also falls under the climate action roadmap in terms of language.
Yeah, very much.
And I don't know that we the opportunity to establish this.
Recycled water master plan. He's very much into the thermal compliance roadmap. So that one, we've got a great model. Reuse is expensive, especially in the urban setting. And what we needed and what we now have is a model that can put an economic value to some of the other factors like wetland uplift and some of the other criterias. And we're able to compare the recycled water versus cooling. So we're able to basically make sure that the projects, we have a durable method to, and we took a FEMA model basically that had a way to assign some of these economic values. And so we can look at all the recycled water projects and put them into the model, and through that, see which ones give us the biggest bang for the buck for compliance, for uplift, for all of the different components, and then making sure they're also cost effective compared to other options that are out there. So it gives us a list of projects, it gives us a list of priorities, and the priorities are really developed through the modeling effort that we've never had before. How do we judge the value of a recycled water project compared to a dam raise or compared to chillers? Now we have a tool that helps us to do that.
I'll wait till you're done with this.
Okay. Healthy streams 2.0.
How come you don't call recycled water 2.0?
I don't know.
You might think about that.
Yeah, that's true. The Healthy Streams 2.0 is that was last done in 2005. The Healthy Streams. So I've spent some time going through that, as has Elizabeth. It's really assessing the current watershed health and the outcomes from the decades of work that have. So that was a start. It's like, what all have we gotten done? How have some of those things worked? We've reached that milestone pretty much. And now we're looking at what the future program needs are going to be to support long-term compliance for stormwater as well as a resilient watershed. And it will feed into the other master plans as well. That is our NSCS group is championing that effort, but there's folks from all across the district that were in that first kickoff meeting. Roadmaps. So we mentioned performance excellence and roadmaps. Elizabeth, do you want to talk about roadmaps 2.0?
Sure. So this is a piece where we are recommitting to roadmaps. They've become a really useful tool to help make sure that we are writing down our processes, that we are understanding and passing that forward. And I'll say for me personally, when I have taken over different areas of the organization through all of our change, I go to the roadmaps first. So it helps ground me in that place. Now we have feedback from staff that they could be better, they could be more streamlined, they could integrate across the district better so that they are not just silos. And so we will be undertaking an update and reinvestment recommitment to roadmaps this year to make sure they are an even more usable and useful tool for staff.
Well, so, and that's part of the nomenclature I want us to go over in the conversation on February 6th is since the roadmaps were part of the performance excellence project, rather than just saying we're pausing it, how do we talk about what we are doing as opposed to what we aren't? Great strategy.
We're pausing the competition part for the award, but we have a lot of work done and a lot of value. And there's new things. I think that there are still dashboards and some metrics that we could create and still continue to find a lot of value in, but there's some other, the competition part and moving that piece forward. But that'll be great.
Clarity in terms of how do we give ourselves credit for moving on in a way that has that recognition as well, even though we're not doing it through the competition. Perfect.
We've got
You're continuing to use the good parts.
absolutely.
That have
We've gotten a lot of value and
not the low value or just for the looks of things.
We're continuing, and then we're going to make those good parts better. That staff feel like, and leadership also feel like provides a lot of that.
I'm a little confused. While I understand what you're saying, are we still tied to the Baldrige process, which is different than the Baldrige award? So are we
We'll come back to that February 6th.
that's a question I
Yeah,
just
okay.
want to register because I just don't understand if we've separated ourselves from the degree of separation.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to keep us on
Yeah,
track.
I understand.
Covered data management planning, so I'll go ahead and jump to the next one. Okay, so this is some of the stuff we saw at WEF, but not everybody was there. And these are pictures of pilots that are happening right now at Rock Creek. The first one is crew carbon, so that's the big crane dropping the crew carbon in. So this crew carbon group approached Clean Water Services to do a pilot. They gave us all the equipment at no charge. Where it's providing an alternative chemical to lime. That chemical has 6% of the greenhouse gas emissions as lime. So what they've been able to do is monetize that savings through the voluntary market of carbon offset credits. And so we are getting this chemical for a very, very competitive price. I think it would save us about $500,000 a year. And my last time I did a walk through the plant with staff there, I ran into one of the op specialists. And he said, it's actually making the process work a little. Like, we didn't really count on this, but we think there's other process benefits to it. Yeah.
So it's taking a pilot up to scale, implementing it at Rock Creek and seeing how it goes versus going wider.
Correct. First, we're piloting at a portion of Rock Creek.
Okay, got it.
The other part that our lime system at Rock Creek is very old. It's been kind of hanging around in the CIP for a while. So this could also, I don't know if the capital system, it's going to address a need anyway for long-term redundancy.
Cool. And not for right now, but I'd like to understand more about the carbon offset, what value that has, and again, how we're talking about that.
That should come up in the climate roadmap. February
fine.
6th. Indents.
Indent. So that's the picture on the bottom right. So that is a pilot, but that is the size of a unit that we need to put in front of a treatment, an aeration basin clarifier as a treatment train for secondary treatment. We will need to expand, build more aeration basins and clarifiers. One of those costs about $50 million, a new train at this point in time.
Oh, right.
This system, hard to see, it's very simple. It's a hydrocyclone. Basically, you're putting in some of your contents of the aeration, you're spinning them around and you're taking the bad things that don't settle away and you're keeping the good bacteria and you bring those back. And by doing that, you can get, depending on how well your system already works, it's going to tell you how much it will improve, but it could be 20%, 25% increase in capacity, can help with biological phosphorus removal. And we're limited with space at Rock Creek. So there's a lot of good things that can happen with this project as well. So
What was surprising to me at WEF was just how simple this thing is. I mean, it's like, it literally just sort of
Centrifuge kind of a cyclone.
good stuff,
it's just,
but
Which is-
right in the right way.
Which is your presentation of this is highlighting how when CWS was formed 50 years ago with these sites, things weren't as tight. The important thing was the consolidation from those multiple treatment utilities to the one unified agency with these 4 major sites. And now they're site constrained, right? Community is developed around it. There isn't more land connected to the river for us to site a new place. Plus, that's cost prohibitive. So all of your techniques are about using the sites efficiently for efficiency, for costs and permit.
Yeah.
Which benefits the ratepayers.
all right.
So where is this research site?
These are both at Rock Creek.
No, the Thomas Dairy one. What part of our county?
Oh, it's close to the Durham. East
Okay.
Basin. Yeah. So
Is that where the Thomas Dairy is? Because I have no idea.
No, it doesn't exist anymore.
we got,
Did we walk down?
You can walk to it from Durham.
yes.
Just past the point.
Yeah, okay.
So it's off of what road?
Yeah.
South.
South of-
It's where Hall continues, but it's not
Yeah,
Hall at that point.
yeah.
Maybe. So it's right there by the Durham site.
Yes,
It's right by it's yeah.
it's just south of.
Oh, I've been on this property.
Yes. Yeah.
The path that connects the site.
Well, that's why we need an
Park.
appropriate name. Anyway, collaboration effort with DEQ.
Working with DEQ, this is a new use and ecological restoration of a site like this. A lot of great benefits. We're also tracking as part of that how the PFAS, the amount that's in there, how it gets captured in the soil, and so lots of good other benefits of the research that we're doing. Stewardship Partnerships really focuses on our natural systems group. And they are experts at really creating collective capacity with other partners. So we'll go in and do a project focused on the riparian corridor. We partner with them for other opportunities to create uplift. These things do connect to compliance. Tree for All, got lots of partnerships in those areas as well. They mentioned a pilot project with Yamhill Soil and Water Conservation District to develop a rural program as well. So they're again that leveraging of external partnerships and really making community benefits maximized through those partnerships.
We have a small part of our base that's actually in Yamhill County, and there's some benefit.
Yeah.
We think there's some kilocalorie benefit to getting shade coverage there.
I didn't know that.
The last one is Innovation Showcase. So this is something we did a couple of years ago. We present and we have some great presentations and work that we highlight in the industry. But this was bringing that back to staff. We did poster sessions that some of those posters I think
We had
has seen a snip of
Yeah, science fair.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like a science fair, yeah. We're expanding it. It's going to happen this spring. You'll definitely all be invited. So it's not just the R&I group. It's across the district. Field Ops has some things. Showing innovation to solve problems. It doesn't necessarily happen it need to be a pilot project or otherwise. Yeah, okay.
Still have to go over the roadmap.
Yeah, very good. Okay, and we're close. So significant capital projects. Oops.
Maybe Elizabeth should drive the slide.
Yeah, I can only drive.
Yeah. That's why we usually have two presenters.
Help me get it done. Well, Central and the lab.
Very important.
Again, I get
Keep
Yeah.
going.
pushing on for next year. Forest Grove primary clarifiers, again, about a $50 million project needed for compliance. Getting that one done. Infiltration and inflow in Forest Grove. We talked about the grant money that we gained there. Durham digester projects and odor control projects are big capital projects that will be in construction at the Durham plant. Final conveyance program we also brought to you as a progressive design build, an alternate delivery. That's about $130 million program over 10-ish years that will be going out to hire a progressive design build team to get started on. And it's been a while, but renewable natural gas. We came early on, we presented where we're at. We are in the process of getting bids and quotes for the equipment selection. We'll have a better cost estimate now, and we'll be coming back to the board with an update on that one. I would guess it maybe March area to keep you in the loop on where that one's going.
So if I could, are you through with that slide?
Yes.
I keep going back to the audit committee, but I think to me it's obvious from of our conversations that they need to have a better understanding of what.
Okay.
Talk about Barney. Hagley.
They need a CWS essential?
They absolutely could use that, I think, because for right now, it's a good financial understanding group, so they can read numbers and stuff like that, but understanding
Right.
water service
Okay.
and impact and all and the breadth of those services, I think would be good for us.
Special one.
Yeah, all day trip. We've all done that. We walk away going, wow,
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah. I think they
Well, I know we're out of time, so quickly, just in closing, I think you've all said this, but I'll say it. Thank you for recognizing we're a resilient organization. We're continuing to focus on innovation. We will do a better job of getting the word out to the cities and others about how those innovation things, some of the real wins that help us with our rates in particular. I'm really happy as Elizabeth. Thank you for having us take the space to sit down and look at what we got done and what we want to do. This was really a good thing to do regardless. And hey, I'll be honest, it may not have kind of happened in this way without the direction to come to the board. So I think this was good. I would continue to want to do this every year. It's just it gives you time to reflect. Again, I am personally grateful and impressed by staff. I appreciate the kind words in the emails, but most as well as just them getting things done, focusing on the core mission despite the noise that we've gone through in the background. So with that,
Board comments?
I just want to say that this has been for me an excellent presentation. While you have expressed, both of you, that it lends credence to what you're feeling inside. I empathize there. For me, what this does is takes a lot of anxiety off my shoulders in relationship to the worry I had and the anxiety I had about clean water services 10 months ago. So watching this process and my sense of understanding of clean water services, what our direction is, what are the specific levers that we pull, what our strategies are, where we're emphasizing, where we're not. Case in point is Alder towards. My anxiety about the organization is reduced. And that, I think, speaks to what the chair was saying earlier about clear communication through this process that I have not had experienced previously. So I just want to say thank you to both of you and my appreciation to our employees for their resilience through this process, their continued commitment to our work, but their resilience in terms of going through a very difficult time. So kudos to your leadership, but also kudos to the
I want to. There's a couple follow-ups that I'll do in our one-on-one. I want to talk about thermal plume and understand that more, but that doesn't need to be now. But I want you to know so I don't forget. I just really appreciate what has transpired in the last 6 or 7 months, to be honest, from a leadership perspective and a regrounding of, I feel like, the team, and also the focus, as I saw in here a couple different times, on sort of all we're doing and how it impacts rates, and the fact that there's a focus on trying to take the challenge that we ended up, I know it was a little controversial when we were talking about it, but I think we gave you around rates and trying to get to ability and rate increase number that is more sustainable for the average person. And so I see that coming through here, and I appreciate that. And I want to thank you and the entire team on our behalf. I hope you thank the entire CWS team for the work that's been done in that last 6 or 7 months.
Yeah, that's it. Good job.
Good job. This was a very well done presentation. The only action item I'll talk to you about is, I don't think I've ever been to the Thomas Research,
Oh,
Thomas Dairy Research Site, or whichever name
yeah.
doesn't exist. I follow that conversation, but I just, since it's on the present documented.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have I been there?
Since
Probably
you
been here.
joined,
No.
since you joined, no, we haven't got
Okay,
back
good.
there.
Thank you, Jared.
We have been there, but also we had, for one of our learning days, the weather meant that we couldn't do it. So as the current board of 5, we've not redone it.
Oh, okay. I'll follow up.
I'm sure Tiger would like to call that Cook Park East, which is where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I,
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
we walked down.
So I'll finish up. Job well done, not just on this presentation, but all that you have helped foster and transition through the whole second half of 2025. I can't stress that enough, Rick. But also to your team. But you're being able to present all of this directly, so clearly, and in relation to why it's important that the agency do these things, but also at a level of information that is appropriate to a board of directors versus diving into a lot of technical detail that we appreciate, but we don't really need to hear about all of it. You've hit that performance mark for a general manager. Okay. I also want to stress that I didn't have to do anything to drive or push or review advanced material to make sure that the goal was achieved. You and whatever team support you had for it did it. And I'm grateful for that because I got burned out on that in prior years, which is why with the beginning of 2024, the board heard from me consciously pulling that back and continuing to pull that back. So I also want to compliment you and the whole team for increasing the level of openness and transparency. I think that speaks to comments that you've heard here from board members. I think there is some continued learning across ELT on what level of information is appropriate for the board and the timing of needs. But great presentation, great closing, great effort. Thank you. Really appreciate it. And I look forward, we need to pull out the roadmap now. So for the remainder of January, you'll see through the rolling agenda that we'll go over later in the meetings. There in January, there's the continued integration of meetings. But as of February, we'll have 2 different rolling agendas because we'll have standalone CWS meetings. And this requires a change for us, and you'll see it reflected in the county rolling agendas that by having standalone CWS business meetings, we'll be having on the nighttime meeting a hard stop of the county meeting at 5 because of when the CWS business meeting starts. So I have gone through both the latest February and March. So I'm satisfied with it, with one exception. Excuse me, in March, it would be helpful for us to have the targets for the recruitments listed in the March. I went through calendars yesterday, and the board already knows that I asked Grace to coordinate with all the staff assistants and with CWS to make sure that we have consistent on both of our calendars, but across all 5 of us when those meetings will happen, because we have very inconsistent holds right now. Some don't appear at all for the board calendars. So we've got to get that straight. Particularly for the week of March 10th, the semifinal interviews, and the week of March 30th through April 3rd, the target. I meant to say semifinal at March 10th, and the last ones I was getting at were the targets for the final interviews. That's all from me on the rolling agenda. Did any of you have any?
I'll add my vacation hours.
Yeah, that pertains to both. So, okay. So we're going to segue over to topic 2, which is driven by me before we have our break at 11. So because Rick has done such a stellar job, this is where I think we're, no, Elizabeth, stay, because I think we may need your help on ARs on this action required to do item. What we're here because we're the board of directors, and for Clean Water Services, we have one direct report, and that's Rick as the interim CEO general manager. We've done a lot of recognition, recognizing the scope, the role, but also your success in that right now. We do have a national search for permanent GM, and I am committed as the chair of this board to ensure that we do our job in ensuring that you have a positive professional performance opportunity in that interim role. That means the responsibility is on us to have a clearly documented set of goals that we need as your board. So it isn't everything that your presentation had, in my opinion. So I am thinking about the following 6 goals. Okay. What I'm looking for today is that we have the verbal draft of this and that we will solidify it. So the first category is goals with regard to operations. There are 3 components here. There's the 24/7, 365 delivery, right? We frequently see presentations like in the state of the partnership where it's 24/7, but it's also 365. And the second component is permit compliance. Yes, those 2 go together, but it's not just about can the treatment plants operate, but rather does all the stormwater sampling, does all the treatment plant sampling, does the whole regional sampling that you do, because you do thousands of samples, comply with the permit. And then the third vector or aspect, or you could say 1 and 2 plus 3, which is prepping for the next permits. The second goal, and these aren't in priority order, it's just number. The national search support, the GM position. The third one is the board having clarity on the performance excellence roadmap 2.0. So that one's going to be accomplished likely February 6th. So some of these are pretty easy, but it's important at our board level. The fourth one is another, I think, easy to achieve one. Close on the R&O, the rebuilding trust, and continue the follow through. So I think we'll accomplish that before the end of this month.
So no reference to 2026 R&O.
No, it is.
That R&O might do the
through the
closeout.
2026. Okay. Yeah, it will achieve the closeout and document. Yeah. The fifth one is you're continuing with the executive staff management. And then the sixth one is the redomiciling of Quick to Arizona. So those are my thoughts with regard to documenting these and simply adopting them via the consent agenda.
Chair, can I clarify, you're describing those, is your vision that these would be goals for the interim general manager, or would they transcend, let's say that our hiring process goes as planned and there's a transition in the middle of, I don't know, June, July, whatever. Would you envision these being kind of the goals for
So I'm looking for clear,
second 6 months?
clear separation.
Okay.
So we've defined success for the interim CEO general manager. We already have priorities
Mhm.
in the job brochure, and we will make sure before the permanent general manager starts that we have clearly articulated goals for 18 plus months, just like we did with Ms. Angie.
Okay, that's help. I mean, I want to make sure I'm clear on that context.
I have a question. On the sixth goal of redomiciling Quick, we understand that the time frame for that is November of 26.
I thought it was June.
It's gonna be
June.
Okay, okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I was thinking,
It's okay.
I appreciate
There's lots
that
of different dates.
because I just
The
wanted
IGAs
to
are
make sure-
November. The rate review report is being done in November.
and I'm reflecting on our conversation. And yes, I remember the June date. So that does fall within this prescribed time
Yeah.
period. And that's all I was worried about. I didn't want to hold Rick accountable for something that may go
Nope.
past that.
Yep. I would have redefined the goal.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Does that sound,
So
is
instead
that a
of redefining me,
reasonable
which
set?
is appropriate.
No, just correcting.
I think
Perception.
I think it's a reasonable set on some of them, you know, like the permit compliance, that's sort of an ongoing evergreen, kind of have to be maintained, but there's not going to necessarily be like a specific thing that's done by the time Rick is done with his interim role, I don't think.
No, but I wanted to recognize that that whole operational
Yep.
category
Is
does involve the interims.
I just want to recognize that not all of them have like a defined like end date.
No, but there are, as demonstrated by, for example, what we continue to do with both the delivery and the permit is the 1 and the 2 is that we don't fall out of compliance
Right.
and that we don't have incident reports, right? That we stay within that. So there are very clear as measured bys.
May I ask what Rick's response is to this?
These all sound, first I like having goals and something to, focus on. So great.
He's not, I should have
I'm
said,
not
he's not surprised that we're doing this.
Yeah.
I'd gone over this with him previously.
I wasn't.
Sorry, I didn't.
Do you think something's missing, or to Pam's point, something missing, or that your reaction to these?
The only reaction, initial, I'm not quite sure what national search support for your,
It's what we're getting.
okay.
We manage our one direct report. You've provided us support through Elizabeth as the key contact within the
Okay.
agency,
Yeah.
as well as we have Raftelis.
Yep.
So that's all. Oh, good heavens. No,
This is just a side note. An
Yeah.
asterisk.
yeah.
Yeah.
Copy. Yeah, I got it. down.
Because she's not our direct report, we need to make sure that if we do something to screw it up, that she's got to go to the person. Okay,
But other than that,
so I'll document this and we'll get it on the legislation.
Also, I want to underscore this. This also gives us the basis. Right. That's what the
That's the whole point,
and that's
professional
really
performance.
important.
So I'm asking for a thumbs up. Yes. Okay, great. I'll get it done from here. Thank you. Somebody's got perfume on. I'm sensitive to perfume. We're going to take a 15-minute break at this point, so we're 15 minutes early. Yay us, and we will reconvene at 11 o'clock, or so we'll be 10 minutes early. Okay, great. Thank you.
Right, thanks.
All right, welcome back, commissioners. Back to you, Chair Harrington. Take us into the board training.
Thank you. We are back from break. We will now be entering Clean Water Services Board of Directors training. So this is not open to the public. So hence the Zoom is terminated and we will get